Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Student of the Game. I am Kyle Nash, the Student of the Game here, and listen, things might look a little out of place. You don't have a whole lot of inspirational speeches or movie quotes, which are actually pretty cool now when I think about that. The truth is, Jim has to push back tonight because he's got to replace all that ish because it's officially old hat. Or maybe he won't, and this is just a funny excuse for me to step in and officially announce the hosting of the Student of the Game at Huddle Up Simulcast. I need that crowd noise. Where's the damn soundboard? Well, that's one thing we're missing tonight as well. But rest assured, my friends, welcome aboard here. And hey, listen, if you're here, chances are you like talking about sport, and we're glad you get to do it here with us. Thanks to Big Jim for turning let's say the lemons into lemonade. His schedule altered so that the Huddle Up podcast couldn't happen in its proper form. I will be covering UCF basketball with the Black and Gold Banneret tomorrow night. I believe that's a women's game. Yeah. So at any rate, I'll be there doing that. I said, where you see problem, I see potential. Nobody's going to get a drop from My Blue Heaven because it's one of Steve Martin's worst movies. But the punchline is this. I saw that, and so now is born the first official simulcast event. I'll be at the helm with the Huddle Up crew here. They'll be coming in at the 10 o'clock hour. We'll drop that, and that'll be great. But I got to wax poetic about a few things first, as I'm apt to do on the Student of the Game podcast. And listen, this is one more week here without Mark Mancini. Don't worry, I'll be talking to him in Arizona, working to get the Muslim football scout on as well while I'm in Arizona covering the Super Bowl next week for the three-point conversion. Obviously, we had the games that determine the game, and one's owl is now super in the form of an eagle and the Chiefs. The bird puns are going to be a thing. Listen, and as much as I'm hearing about other things getting old already, you know, the Kelsey brother relationship and the Reed thing, but we're going to hear about it being the first game with two black quarterbacks 500 bazillion times. Listen, I'm Lucifer Morningstar this. That's right. I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen. I told you winter was coming years ago, ladies and gentlemen, when the top quarterbacks in the NFL were African-American. We're black. Forget African-American, that term. Yeah, it's, can we just say black? That's what everybody means right now, okay? Of color. Let's go with that, right? All these different terms. Punchline's this. Of course this was going to happen, folks. A lot of the top quarterbacks in the league are of color now. I'm not here to tell you that race relations are finished and they're done. We're still talking about coaching, even though we've had two candidates of color, two head coaches of color in a Super Bowl already. If you remember the Bears facing, or with Lovely Smith facing Tony Dungy. And yet I still think the problem is far bigger there. But by the way, D'Amico Ryans officially getting hired, leaving San Francisco to head to the Texans. I'm going to go talk on that real quick. I'm not here to tell you the Texans as an organization are solved, but the first step is admitting your problem and doing something different. And the Texans are acknowledging officially now that their culture sucked, and are changing the problem in such a fashion that they're doing it by bringing in a guy that once filed suit against the team for the way they handled an injury of his. Like, that should tell you everything you need to know. By the way, keeping in full Huddle Up fashion, Devin jumps in. Good to see you, man. I don't know if you got anything Dolphins to talk, but I have a feeling that they will come up at some point during the pod for one of these topics. So stick around there for that, my friend. But the Texans bringing in D'Amico Ryans is a big deal. J.J. Watt tweeting out and all that. Now, here's the thing. Do I actually think it was the right hire? From a Texan standpoint and keeping in the culture, most definitely. But we live in a world where offense rules in the NFL right now. D'Amico Ryans ain't that. So what they're relying on is for him to come in and just bring belief back, I think. That's superseding anything offensive. I would have liked for them to bring in an offensive guy, but listen, with what we've heard about Eric Bieniemy, I don't think he's the right temperament to come in and fix all this. The Texans are so broken that you need goodwill and the culture fit in place before we even talk about, hey, who we go and draft up here pretty soon in the next few months. Okay. I get that part of it. So, I know the conventional wisdom is offensive guys do better, all this other stuff, but hey, not that Robert Saleh's doing all that bad in New York with the Jets. He's represented a good turnaround in the right direction. By the way, another 49ers defensive coordinator going in so yeah, there's some, I'm not saying you're going to see a Longhorn skull silhouette in the next Super Bowl for 58 here. We're not going to see that if and when I go to Las Vegas to cover that Super Bowl. Okay. Let's keep it on the skis here. Let's not get ahead of the skis, please. Thank you. I'm in Florida. Who gets ahead of skis anyway? But let me go to this, which we should be celebrating two quarterbacks of color in the Super Bowl. As much as I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen, that it was pretty much Thanos wasn't this inevitable. Okay. But the way some people are celebrating is problematic. Let me tell you what I mean. Writers that tend to have a political agenda, for lacking a better way of putting it, guys I even know and respect that write for major organizations for NFL teams have even made this mistake. So this isn't average Joe, common person, giant fan saying, oh, the 49ers got beaten bad by the Eagles. That must mean the Giants are better than the Niners. No. It's a mistake that's a mistake, but with good intention. And the thing it is this. Jalen Hurts making it to the Super Bowl after Eagles fans sold him down the river. This time last year, the only thing that got abused like this was Santa Claus at Christmas in '68 and John Madden on Monday Night Football before Thanksgiving one year when they had a turducken and his huge colossal hands on camera carved it barehanded. Okay. Y'all were down on him, Eagles fans. So we'll be talking to Matt Muehlheisen for a minute. I'm certain he'll have something to say about the Eagle fan populace and the way they used to treat Jalen Hurts before now ascending to Super Bowl status here. But now what's happening is, oh, look, Jalen Hurts made it. Look at all you Herbert supporters. But it must be because of the way he looks. All right, stop. Stop right now. Stop it. First of all, I won't even get into the basic principle of tearing down a quarterback of a different hue to raise yours up. If you're looking to bring goodwill and diversity and awareness, that ain't it. That ain't the play. Here's the proper take. And credit to my guy, Chris Lewis, on Twitter, C-Lou. He was part of the AFC South preview we did on the Student of the Game. He represented the Colts and assured me that they would win the division. That's okay. Past transgression aside. He said the question to be asked, or at least how I'm framing it is, what could Lamar Demetrius Jackson do if he had the support that Jalen Hurts did? If people could look past their stupid, acknowledge that Lamar Demetrius Jackson, yes, he has middle name status on this show, or at least my show. It's a simulcast, so it's this show. Why isn't the conversation being had about quarterbacks of color being prolific and the old school thinking in front offices stymieing players being the true issue here? Not Justin Herbert. Let's keep in mind, there's plenty of other stuff that staggered Justin Herbert. The fact that the Chargers even made the playoffs with all the injuries they had, I'm not going to say MVP candidate because that would be asinine. I'm not going to say coach of the year because I'm pretty sure Brandon Staley's half the reason they didn't beat the Jaguars in the game I was at in Jacksonville. You're going to put that on Herbert. Really? This is a thing we're doing now. That's got to stop. Be a tide that raises all ships. Don't try to sink others. Maybe the response to be had is something along the lines of, golly, if the Chargers fired Brandon Staley and brought in DeMeco Ryans, maybe Justin Herbert will win a football game. Yeah, that's another direction you could go. Bringing in a coach of color might be able to lift up a quarterback regardless of his hue. Maybe that's a direction you could go. I don't understand bringing down others to lift yourself up if you're trying to preach inclusion. That being said, see, that we're back. See, I'm messing with people. They're unhappy with what I said, and Spectrum is worried. By the way, I wonder if Mike Bernier is going to appear tonight here in the comment section today after what happened to his Bengals. And if he did, that's okay. I can simulate it. The refs. Okay. I got that in my system. Using that to set up anybody who wants to try to tell me the NFL is fixed, just stop it. Just stop it. Do you really think in a scenario where the NFL is fixing games that they're actually going to pick the Eagles over the 49ers? Are you serious right now? I get it. Philadelphia is a city of brotherly love. They're a fantastic city. Some of the fan base is interesting. We'll call it that. They're not Boston crazy, but they're devout in a very special way, which is exactly why the NFL would not fix a game in favor of the Eagles. Because you miserable human beings throwing your batteries and your snowballs at Santa are going to show up anyway. Them's the facts of the case. Meanwhile, you have Kansas City coming in, kind of central. I know they're referred to as the West. They're not East, certainly. And then you could get the West Coast heavily involved. The East Coast is vested in the NFL. That's the thing that's going to happen. Football. It's an American thing. The West Coast is where a lot of the expansion action is taking place now, right? They're trying to get stadiums in Las Vegas and getting that established. In that dumpster fire of a situation, shouts to my guy, Josh McDaniels, right? Anyways. But if the fix was going to be in, you would think it would be pro 49ers, wouldn't you? Think about that. The Eagles are involved either way. The Niners, I'm going to throw it out there, bit more of the fair weather corporate type, kind of like Cowboys fans. No, I'm not including EJ Christian or Jim Neese in this analysis. Take it easy. But there's a lot more, you're more likely to find the Cowboys or the Niners in Forbes than you are the Eagles. And that's okay. But if a game is going to be fixed, it's not going to favor the Eagles. Those fans are coming to the games and watching either way. Miserable as they may or may not be, or happy or elated as they may not be, they're there, period, point blank. And there's this. I don't know. Maybe don't hit a guy 2 yards out of bounds, and then you won't get the goddamn call. What about that? Where's the fix there? Looking at you. I think it was, Marcus Spears or Emmanuel Acho? I don't know. I'm sure EJ will remind me. He watches all those garbage personalities that steal their money. So, I don't know. That's the two big things I wanted to hit. And I don't want the panel stuck waiting in the green room for too long. This is a simulcast. They need to be included. So let me go ahead and bring him. First off, just so we can get a chance to gloat, I'm wearing colors to support the fact his team one is headed to the Super Bowl. I'll bring him first. The man, the myth, the legend, the AJ Hawk of the Huddle Up podcast, my man, Matt Muleisen. What's going on, Matt?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on to chat about this and be a part of the multicast here tonight. Be my second trip to the Student of the Game show. So looking forward to doing this again. I appreciate the banter we have back and forth over the weekend and moving forward here as we watched our teams play. And unfortunately wasn't quite the game I think we were hoping for. But, I won't argue with the Eagles getting to the Super Bowl, even though it wasn't the defensive clash we were promised once every single quarterback on the Niners got injured.
Literally, except for the emergency one, right?
Right.
You're going with my motif too. You're getting the colors of all the people involved, the green and white, and then the black and white where the officials screwed up calls and gave people.
Correct. That's why I picked this hat specifically for you.
No, man, I appreciate you rolling with it. Next up, the only way this guy could be better introduced is me finding the explicit button immediately for this episode. And also, if those of you know who Richard Karn is, his name is Al, and he's the sidekick of the man who runs Tool time, just like this man, Ernest Julius Christian, everyone's favorite Cowboy fan. What's going on, EJ?
Oh, shut the fuck.
What's
up, Kyle?
I got to make sure I check explicit on the damn anchor tonight.
Yep. You know I'm here tonight, so you know what time it is. What's up? What's up, fellas?
No, hey, good to have you. And, of course, the man who probably needs more hugs right now than I do for certain, just because on his 5 Discussions podcast this past weekend, I haven't cried in this much beer since the last time I got dumped, and I've been married for a pretty long time at this point, specifically 13 years, if anyone's counting. Well, in a couple of weeks, it's 13 years. Details. The punchline is this.
Got me by a year.
Huh?
Got me by a year. Good job.
I mean, whatever. I mean, I will not speak for the judgments and abilities of my wife and why she keeps me around. I'll put it that way. Anyways, nonetheless,
noted.
Hey, stop fucking up the intro. Jeez. Anyways, the host of the Huddle Up podcast and the 5 Discussions and the Discussions with a Nobody. I would do all your podcasts, CJ, but I can't remember half the damn things because they're all some variation on Earnestly Speaking. I'm sorry, Bing. At any rate,
Bing is right.
The head of Huddle Up Inc., Big Jim Beasley.
You know, I thought the Eagles making the Super Bowl for the second time in 5 years was going to be the worst thing that happened to me this week, but then EJ stepping all over my goddamn intro was actually worse. So thanks for that.
Right. I thought me saying fucking power rankings on the podcast today.
Well, my right ear's still ringing for that, buddy. So thank you for that as well.
God bless you, brother.
Listen, at the end of the day, I'm glad that it doesn't matter who's running the ship for the Huddle Up podcast YouTube channel, Bing. EJ's still there to try to F up the rotation. Excellent. I thought you partook of the reefer. You should respect the rotation. That's my understanding. Anyways, in the meantime, all I'm trying to do is not screw it up. Again, thanks to Devin for jumping in so far. Hopefully you stayed around through my rant and ravings of the intro to do the student of the game part. But let's get into the intro you know and love with the Huddle Up side, gentlemen. It's very simple. It may have been an air quotes shorter week of football, but it's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh, we're doing this.
Just picked one thing during the week. I know. Listen, soundboards. I am not voice acting this.
Look at that. I'm proud of you.
No, it was funny. I was doing this while EJ was setting up the recording of the Student of the Game report on the Earnestly Speaking pod. Bing. So let's see the soundboard travels.
It's back.
Oh, I don't go anywhere without the soundboard. You got to understand that.
That must be awkward in the car when you're going to dinner with your wife.
She's come to understand it by now.
Does she have her own soundboard?
Won't confirm nor deny.
Oh my Lord.
Anyway.
That can go anywhere, so be careful with that.
Easy.
That's the joke, EJ. Yeah, I'm glad I did a little bit.
Oh my.
How about your shirt matches my cup?
Merchandising,
buddy.
Merchandising. At any rate, this, of course, is a bit of that ugly segment for each of us. Each of the 4 of us found one thing good, one thing bad, and one thing absolutely ugly about the sport weekend that was. As I hit the post perfect there with the intro. Booyah. Let's go ahead and bring it in. We'll get the good out the way early because I know what Matt has to bring to the table. What do you got?
Yeah, and unfortunately, and we said in the intro that the game wasn't necessarily good in terms of if you were looking for the defensive, slugfest that I think we anticipated going in. But I will take an Eagles trip to the Super Bowl however I can get it. I don't care if the Niners had come out at halftime and said, guys, that's it. We're not doing this anymore. We concede. Second half is yours. I would be just as happy with that victory as I am with the way we got. I'm sure Big Jim can attest to. However your team gets to the dance is the best way to do that. I won't speak for EJ because I know one of the 24 teams that he supports somehow get a ticket to the show every year. So it's a little different for him because he doesn't have to go through that type of thing. But except for your Cowboys, EJ, I do apologize.
Come on.
Come on, man.
The good for me, it was just kind of one of those things where it was like, I said last week, because I have a lot of my close friends are Giants fans. I was like, I really just want to beat the Giants. If we beat the Giants, don't really care what happens after this, because if they had lost the Giants, it's 9 straight months of just that group text going off. Now I don't have to look forward to that. So to get to the next step was good for me.
I wish I knew you in 2007. Seriously, you would have fucking hated my guts. I mean, you do now, probably, I'm sure now anyway, but I'm just saying you would have fucking hated my guts in 2007 when I was actually fucking immature as shit.
EJ, if we were friends in 2007, I don't know if we're friends in 2023.
I don't know if we're friends in 2008.
When EJ started the sentence with, I don't know if we're friends, I wish we were friends in or whatever, like, raise your hand. And I expect every one of you to do so unless you're lying. Y'all had a quib for that. Be honest. Okay, there it is. I know Matt had it. Hell, EJ probably thought of one too. That's why he stopped himself. Anyways, I'll even say this quickly too. In beating the Giants, you left them reeling so bad, Matt. I saw stuff all over Twitter. Look, the 49ers got decimated. We must be better than them. Oh my God. It was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for Giants fans. I'm sure glad there aren't any on this panel.
It's true. Yeah, there's none to weigh in.
Anyways, speaking of people who aren't Giants fans, EJ, you're good for this week.
3 names: Patrick, Levon, Mahomes. Nothing to say. I mean, Nick Wright made remember someone on the pod last week. Nick Wright said he had the 2000 quarterbacks league where number 1 was Pat Mahomes, number 2 was Joe Burrow, number 3 is Pat Mahomes one leg. You see his adjustment now this week. Number 1 is Pat Mahomes, number 2 is Pat Mahomes one leg, number 3 Pat Joe Burrow. No, in all seriousness, no.
Yeah.
We discussed it on the podcast today, you and I.
Bing!
If you want to go ahead and start talking about him in the top 10 all-time conversation,
top 5,
maybe in top 5.
Like, I'm not saying
it's the longest, and especially if they win in 2 weeks.
Conversation is because I think top 10 is a lock.
And right.
Make a note, Jim. That could be an off-season episode. Should Mahomes be top 10?
And
I don't have our file up right now to type in, or I would. But this is the talent that Jim is. He's producing, even though he's not hosting. That maybe it's easy for him tonight. Now, see, I don't have to try to keep this.
But especially if they win in 12 days, top 5 may not be silly anymore because this is easily the greatest 5-year stretch of a quarterback when you combine both individual and team success. Yes. In history's league.
And that's the Nick Wright point. Yeah.
It's not even close. Not even Brady has this.
It should have been better with D Ford. Yeah. Because Brady choked that game too, just like he did his final game as a Patriot against the Titans.
I mean, again, you go to, was it 5 straight AFC title games? 5 straight? In this NFL, as competitive it is, in a free agency league and movement and stuff, and he's still doing, at least gets to the Final Four every year. I hope we're appreciating what we're seeing here. This is shit we may not see again.
Oh, there's that explicit button.
Just saying. So Patrick Levon Mahomes II is my good this week.
Just because it's low-hanging fruit doesn't mean it isn't delicious. I'm with that. Jim, you're good, sir.
I mean, on a weekend where the Eagles clinch a spot in the Super Bowl, it's hard for me to find a good. But the Kellen Moore, the offseason churning of the Cowboys coaching staff continues, and I didn't expect Mike McCarthy to get fired. So the thing that I really wanted this offseason was a change at offensive coordinator. It came out, I believe it was Sunday night or Monday, that the Cowboys and Kellen Moore were mutually agreed to part ways. And I guess as of now, I mean, they're going to be looking at offensive coordinator candidates, but I guess McCarthy's going to have a hand in the play calling. So here's the deal. The guy who was a thorn in my side for the last few years is now gone. And moving forward, if there isn't improvement and there isn't success, then Mike McCarthy it really kind of falls in his lap. So then he's the next one to go. So
I think it's fortunate that Dallas is as close as it is to Houston, because then at that point they could fulfill your demand of shooting him into the sun. Shout to the 5 Discussions podcast.
There we go.
Observations, actually.
Any names, Jim, on the target list that you would like to see?
Jason Garrett.
Stop
He's
it.
coming back, baby.
Stop it.
Dude.
All right, Norm Turner. We win. There we
Is he
I'm
still
just-
alive? I don't know. Oh, and we lost Jack. Good job, jackasses.
No, I don't. I haven't really given it much thought. I've just been basking in the happiness that dumb idiot is gone.
When Jerry appoints himself play caller and
Yeah,
offensive
right.
coordinator.
I mean, he look. If you don't think that Jerry Jones doesn't have a headset line to the coaching staff from that super suite in AT&T Stadium, you're wrong anyway. So
Yeah, that's where he assumed.
yeah, I already assume he's in the headset anyway. He's well, I would have said Vince McMahon in a previous life, but he's like Triple H in the commentator's ears, really, if we're being honest about it.
But I
And
have
Devin giving me a bit of a boost. He actually stayed through my intro. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Devin.
Very nice.
But I have to ask though, Jim, and we discussed a little bit in text Sunday about Kellen Moore.
Mhm.
This Cowboys offense has been top 5 offense
Statistically,
speaking,
yeah.
for the last couple of years now, consistently.
Statistically.
What am I?
No,
What?
it's-
And I'm not. And I'm not.
We got a whole segment for this, but you're going to break it down now. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't get any notes. I didn't get any like show notes for this thing. So I don't know. I'm just
Pay
going,
attention to the goddamn messenger.
dude. I got 2 kids, bro. I'm busy.
No, you don't get to play that. I got him too. Keep trying though.
Kyle just
All right,
said.
so, okay,
here's our
let's say-
constantly
Fuck yourself.
dunking
I'm
on
assuming.
you,
Okay,
Kyle.
if you have this set up already on the.
Wait, you're right, Matt. Excuse me. So EJ can feel like his kids are still here. Can you drop the Lucifer Morningstar edition, sir?
no.
Yeah, 1 second.
I tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen.
There. Do you feel it? No, now whiny McWhiny pants. Continue.
Okay, no. If you have this set up for another segment, I'll save it for that.
No. I'll roll with it, dude. I'm totally playing with you.
Oh, okay, no. So, and I'm not defending Kellen Moore here for the record. You know, talking to you the last couple of years, especially about Kellen Moore, there's been a definite ebb and flow frustrations with him. But what am I missing if this team has been top 5 in stats on offense for the last couple of years, and he's not good enough? What am I missing? What's the disconnect?
Well, I think the disconnect is you can look at a stat line and you're not getting the full picture. There's a lot of situational things with him calling a game that don't make sense. And I think that's where the biggest issue is. I also don't know that Mike McCarthy ever wanted Kellen Moore to be his OC.
Okay, yeah, sure.
McCarthy came in, and you get like in the time between McCarthy and Green Bay and McCarthy and Dallas, like he basically had a group of coaches that he would meet with every week during the season and kind of treat each week, even though he wasn't with the team, as if he was preparing for a game. And when he came to Dallas, Kellen Moore was just, it was basically like, hey, you're our head coach, meet your offensive coordinator. Like he wasn't given the option. So I think that there was butting of heads there. I think there's talk that it maybe came to a head with that Green Bay game and some of the terrible play calling decisions in the fourth quarter of that game that eventually cost the Cowboys the game. In a game that you can damn well be sure that McCarthy wanted to win, given that he was back in the place where he had success years ago. So really, it's the thing.
Bulletin board material, Jim. That doesn't exist. There's nothing that happened this past weekend at all in either game that made bulletin board material relevant.
No, not at all.
All right, jabroni.
But the I think the bottom line is, I think Kellen Moore is extremely smart, sometimes almost too smart to see the game as it needed to be seen in situations. I think he's looking at a playbook, he's looking at analytics, and he's looking at all of these things on paper that should make sense, and he doesn't see outside of that. And I think that was a problem for the Cowboys.
Overthinking a play. Yeah, it's like, for example, like being a really good coach, a coach of the year candidate even, and being known for having an offense that's plug and play for a quarterback, and then doing something so fundamentally stupid as having a tight end block Hassan Reddick.
Here's what's clear about next year for the Cowboys.
Not great, Bob. Sorry.
If they don't get to at least the title game, this is a conference title game next year, McCarthy's toast. It's just that simple.
Absolutely, especially when he's going to be, whether he's calling the plays or he's heavily influencing on calling the plays. Yeah, I think McCarthy has 1 year left because I think if memory serves, next year is the last year of his contract anyway.
So there's that. And maybe the situation is such that, they're going to just let it run out rather than fire him. But let me make sure I heard you right, EJ. You're saying if he doesn't get to conference championship Sunday, he's not going to be renewed.
I just don't see it, given all the moving parts going on in Dallas right now, especially with Kellen Moore being gone. Dan Quinn is staying. That's another angle. The Dan Quinn thing. He's staying. He's gotten. I haven't got any official offers from the teams.
A handshake deal in place for
right.
Quinn.
There you go.
Right.
McCarthy has 2 more years left. He would have 23 and 24.
No, right, but in most cases, coaches don't like to have the lame duck thing.
I spoke incorrectly. I thought he only had 1 more year, and Kyle noted that so it could be a potential situation of at the end of next year they mutually agree to part ways or they don't renew, which isn't the case. He has 2 more years. So if they don't show improvement,
right,
it would be a firing, not a.
But even so, more to your point, to what you're saying, it still applies here because again, most situations coaches like to have. Don't want to have that lame duck you're hanging there. Either
correct, exactly. I just wanted to be factually correct. Right. Something we other people.
Right on that.
That's fundamental business. No offense, EJ, but you're not exactly reinventing the wheel on that.
No, I understand that. I'm just telling you.
Guys would rather have security in their jobs than not. Holy snap! Who'd have thought it? Anyway, oh, you did that just because you already have the explicit button hit. Listen, this isn't your show. I'm not going to use the F word. I'm sorry.
Fuck.
And my good does relate to the Kansas City Chiefs in its own right, but not for Patrick Lavon Mahomes II. Sure, I knew somebody was going to give him his flowers, and in the words of Joel Klatt, and rightly so. But I can't help but point out the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Chris Jones was a factor on this very show during the segment that's so misguided that it got its own goddamn T-shirt. Somebody argue with me that it matters about the and who the team is. Don't think I didn't see what you did there, Jim. And it's about the team and how I trust them. And I tried to inform this individual that it was about.
Who do you trust? Hubba, hubba, hubba. Money, money. Who do you trust?
Thank you, Jack Nicholson. No.
No. We're going to have Jack back in a minute, depending on your retort. Watch yourself.
I can't handle it.
Can you actually fail to handle the truth before we evoke the damn sound clip, please?
I already can't handle the truth.
Are you about to say something? We're going to finish it. Can I finish?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I said it was about matchups and the difference being made there. And the person in question, who apparently has a big thing for Jack Nicholson as well that I wasn't completely aware of, failed to even acknowledge the weaknesses in the Bengals.
Who the hell is this?
Exactly. I mean, I can tell you hints about to what his religion may have been if you heard just his name, yet he's ironically married to a Jewish woman. Anyways, so I'm
here to fuck shit up, motherfucker.
But I say all the above to say this. Matchups were a key there. Chris Jones went precisely crazy on a backup offensive lineman. I'm not going to say and rightly so, but I am a little surprised Zach Taylor didn't have something for that. But then again, when it's in the interior of line, what really can you do? You're not happy with that? You don't care about fat guys? First of all, #you problem. Second, what about 2 bleeding rookies picking off a guy who is now dubbed automatically the second best quarterback in the NFL? No one's having that conversation, and I don't know why. Well, I do. His name's Patrick Lavon Mahomes II and Travis Kelce, who will be involved in a very special ceremony tonight if you guys vote appropriately, by the way, as he teases that moment later in the show. But, yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs defense, everybody was sold out. You can't stop the depth of that receiver core, and Joe Mixon's underrated. Yeah, I'm making fun of myself because I said the same thing. And yet here we go with 2 rookies with an interception to Joe Burrow, man. That's what I'm talking about.
No, you're right.
So, I don't know. I felt like it should be mentioned. Anyways, let's go with the bad, and because I know he'll come up with something quick, Jim, lead it off.
I mean, The Eagles in the goddamn Super Bowl.
Fuck, you make that ugly, Matt. That is the respect he has for you.
I mean, I can't necessarily make it ugly because I predicted it. And I wasn't surprised that it happened, especially once the injury happened to Brock Purdy. So to kind of expand on it, I'll say more to this. Like, I saw a lot of people, not a lot of people. I saw some people saying that why isn't Purdy being more effective once they brought him back in? I'm like, I mean, really? Like, the guy has like no arm, literally, like no arm at this point. We have come to learn, the injury going to be a 6 month or more, depending if he has to have the Tommy John surgery or not. So that's going to be an off season storyline to watch for the Niners. But it's like, man, like most guys would have trouble coming back in and doing anything in that spot. But
unless your name is Bryce Harper.
Well, right. Well, I think it's also somewhat of a different motion, right? Like, he wasn't throwing at that point.
He didn't play the field anymore.
Yeah.
Of that reason.
I don't think anybody's trying to tackle Bryce Harper.
Well, that too. But bottom line, there's nothing badder or worser than the Philadelphia Eagles getting back to the Super Bowl for me.
My dad, former associate press writer, just rolled in his grave by you dropping that shit. Anyways, EJ Christian, you're bad, sir.
What Jim just said, honestly.
But you're a Jalen Hurts fan. Next.
Well, I mean, look, there's a scintilla part of me root for the Eagles because of Jalen Hurts. He's a great kid.
You
like,
mean
fucking
infinitesimal,
whatever it's like, fucking like small.
A slight.
Now, when we say a slight over it, no. And I gotta tell you, look, I got a lot of friends who are Eagles fans, and most of them are actually pretty nice. Which is so fucking weird. Most of them pretty nice. One of my buddies, one of the guys at my job that plays poker there, like, he nicest guy. Like, the Giants look really good. He's actually one of those really, really cool. Rarity you see Eagle fans like that. Matt has made me get back to 2002 mode, 1995 mode. When back in 1989, 1990, when I first started hating the Eagles because of their fans. Matt, thank you. Matt, thank you so much now for being a fucking
What has
asshole.
Matt done?
And it wasn't even towards me. It was towards this guy, Kyle, the host tonight of the Simulcast. And you going at it with him. I'm like, holy shit. And it got me back to why, you just remind me why I hate Eagles fans so much. Thank you, Matt, so much. That was my bad
as a wrestling fan, you can't tell when something's a bit.
No,
Matt, he left wrestling for 17 years. I don't know if you heard about that.
That's right.
He's still learning what things like a work means.
I got to give Matt this much credit. Like, when we were throwing those lightsabers in the huddle up chat, like he started a sidebar with me. Hey, this is great. Just let's make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Like, bro, listen, you got a lot of grace, and I'll admit it. I rubbed a little bit more funk on it. With my day job stuff and all that craziness going on, like, I was definitely venting more than just football with that, because we were all, to Matt's point, deprived of a good experience of what should have been.
That's the part. That's what sucked about that game, is it should have been closer.
Yeah.
Matt, you're bad, sir.
Yeah, so for me, and forgive me if I mispronounced the name here, with a sigh at the end of the game in the Bengals Chiefs game, and this isn't saying the call was bad because it's the right call. What I've never really enjoyed, and this isn't just limited to this game, it's in general, is the continued camera angle on the guy in the worst moment of his professional career to this point. Show him the first time, I get it. The fans, the viewers want to see how they reacted to the moment. But to go back a second time, to go back a third time, to go back a fourth time.
To hang on the shot for like 10 minutes, it felt like.
Absolutely crushed already.
It's like the fucking soap guy.
Yeah.
It was all the rule. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, and it was borderline ugly, but it's been done so many times. I can't say that this is a rare occurrence that it's ugly, but it's always, to me, a bad look. It worse in college, because then we're talking about 19, 20-year-olds, but he's not that far out of college. I want to say he's 24. So like to focus on someone in the worst moment of their career continually for views is always going to be, in my opinion, a bad look.
Well, and of course, that applies to everybody in college, of course, except for Stetson Bennett, who's like 167 years old.
Yeah, he's older than everyone on this panel.
Yeah, he's 22. He'll be 23 in April. He's like when you're talking about a college game, he's practically college age.
Yeah, no, definitely. For me, this is a very simple one. The bad, and I hated it from the moment I started seeing it. I kind of put it out of my mind as just some hokey thing. For all the dad jokes I come up with on this and any of the shows I do, whether it's on the Huddle podcast, bing, on the Student of the Game podcast, bing, on the Black Eagle Band Rep podcast, bing, with the 3-point conversion, bing, any of that. The whole Brocky thing was the dumbest. You know, just because EJ's here and he already made us hit the explicit.
Ridiculous.
It's the dumbest shit. Like, can you not do that? It's too late now. You angered the football guy.
Thing sucks.
Like, you do realize. You called for that Storm Niner fans. I blame you. Okay?
I blame you.
You know, there's a part of me that's glad my merchandising is green tonight because of that Brocky trash. That was so stupid.
Merchandising.
Is a universal symbol for all underdogs, not even just in boxing or football or in effing Philadelphia. American underdogs in general are represented by Rocky. Why the hell do you think Creed was made so they can actually make an embrace over and beyond just Rocky Balboa? That's another reason why there's like 76,000 Rocky movies as well. Like, good God. Oh, no, I just gave someone an idea. Rocky as a zombie is going to be a thing. Shit.
Oh, crap.
But, yeah, I mean, for me, that was the bad. It was hokey. It was dumb. And you called for the Storm, Niner fans. The reason why Matt and I were robbed of good football was you, and I blame you.
I blame you, stupid idiot.
Ooh, nice ad. I like that. Anyway, speaking of stupid idiot, here comes the ugly portion, and who better to lead it off than EJ Christian? Sir.
Hey-oh.
Wait, I'm not ugly. I'm handsome as fuck.
You are handsome as fuck. It's your takes that are ugly.
Allegedly. He said you're stupid. He didn't say you're ugly. Follow along. My goodness.
Calm down, Eagle fan, all right? Calm down.
Dumbass.
Champion. Calm down.
My
ugly.
Earth are Matt and I suddenly allied so quickly. Anyways.
Common enemy.
My ugly this weekend actually is all the officiating talk.
Thank you.
Can we stop? Like, could you do the job better than they can? Honestly, like, I'm not getting them like cover here because they dropped the ball a lot this weekend. But I think we just overrate the fucking officiating a little too much, especially this weekend.
Or rather, whether rate, yeah,
right. Like, were there mistakes made? Yeah, a little bit. But I think that the idea that this is the reason why these games were they were. No, stop. Let's cut that shit. So that's my ugly for the weekend.
Yeah. Well, I think the discussion more, and maybe it's another one of these off-season things, and I don't know how long the topic would be. Maybe it'll be a double shot episode or something. But I think the NFL is much like we talked about, I know, in the wrap up to the college football season, that college football needs to look at doing a national pool of officials as opposed to conference officials. I think the NFL's long overdue for full-time employed officials. You know, like, because that's what people I don't think really realize, or that maybe they're starting to come to realize a little bit more. But like, these guys aren't like full-time NFL employees. Like these guys they're kind of just they're brought in week by week, year by year, sort of a deal. So maybe if there's more structure to the officiating in the league, there can be more accountability and more because I mean, let's not that the officiating wasn't bad, because it was bad, and it's become part of the discussion again, unfortunately. But like, maybe you got to understand too, this rule book that the league has is 1,000 pages long and growing by hundreds every year. Right. So maybe if you create a full-time employed group of officials, the league and everything can work on do we like some of the rules when you have to have a rules expert that doesn't even know the rules on every broadcast? Like, well, you've kind of had a problem. You know what I mean? You have a problem when you have a play-by-play broadcaster and a color commentary guy who back in the day knew the rules. Now they don't even know what the hell they are, so they got to go to a rules expert. Then you have a rules expert that, like, sometimes is sitting on his hands going,
And even when they do, chances are they're, verbally filleting the officials.
Right.
Shouts to Piera, who never gets it right that I've really seen.
Exactly. So, maybe if we, instead of having a 6,000 page rule book, we can consolidate this thing and actually make it make a little bit more sense. And the officials can rule the important things more correctly more of the time. And I think it would make for a better game.
I mean, my only come back to that, Jim. First of all, let's take it to college first. I don't get conference officiating because there in no scenario is it a good look. Example, I'm over here. The officiating in UCF versus Temple was just goddamn awful. Just beyond awful, horrific, in a very special way. So too was the Houston game. I hate making officials part of the analysis. And they did a good enough job in the KC and Bengals game to they really shouldn't be. Even though memes are out there claiming Reps versus Eagles as a Super Bowl matchup. Stop it. You're wrong. But keeping back with college, these are ACC or AAC officials. And the first thing that was said when anything was mentioned about the bad officiating there at Edition Financial Arena, where I was there with the black and gold banneret, was, the American Athletic Conference officials are obviously going to go against UCF. They're moving to the Big 12 next year. Man, these MFers don't care about that right then. And that's the whole thing. All this conspiracy theory about fixing games and such, bro, you need competence for that level of malice and organization. You're giving them entirely too much credit if you're claiming that's the case. Anyway, that
Yeah.
But I digress. So no, all that was EJ's ugly. Damn. Let's go to you next for the ugly, Jim. What you got?
And this isn't me coming to the defense of the team that I hate the most in football. But can we stop with the beating to death of this is the weakest road to a Super Bowl we've ever seen in the history of time.
Thank you.
Look, when teams start crafting their own schedules, then we can really start talking about that. The Eagles didn't call the league office and ask to play this division and these other two games not in their lineup. It's not the Eagles' fault that the Vikings were fraudulent and they ended up playing Brian DeBull and the Giants in the divisional round.
Yes, taking the bull by the horns. Right?
and it's not the Eagles' fault that, well, I guess in a way it's the Eagles' fault that both of the 49ers quarterbacks got hurt. But like
Shanahan's fault.
Correct.
There you go. But like the 49ers were already on their third and fourth string quarterbacks in the NFC title game. Okay. Then Purdy gets hurt. Johnson gets hurt. You have a one-armed man in a boxing match for the second part of a game.
One-armed man.
So none of those things are the Eagles' fault. Okay. If you want to incorporate some of if you want to pick the Chiefs when you finally come to pick these games and you want to say that you think the Chiefs are better because they maybe had a bit of a harder road to get here, a little bit more battle tested. You can say those things, but stop trying to punish the Eagles and say that they chose the easy road. They didn't. They played what was in front of them. That's all every NFL team can do. They did it. They had more wins than anybody in the NFC. They played the teams that got to their games in the postseason. That's all the Eagles could do. And the Eagles did it. They're in the Super Bowl. It's just an ugly look for people. And I get we're creating talking points because you have 2 weeks of round the clock coverage, but It's a lame look because the Eagles didn't do that to themselves.
Jim, I gotta ask, how disgusted did that feel to say that?
I'm just gonna go throw up for a second now that I got it out.
Well, I'll say this much too. First of all, anybody who thinks that this was the easiest road to a Super Bowl of all time has very much forgotten sexy Rexy Grossman there and Lovie Smith and the Bears.
That's true.
Was the easiest road of all time. Because at the end of the day, the 49ers should have been more. That Carolina Panthers team that they played on their way to get to the Super Bowl was not all that in a bag of chips. I'm sorry. Say what you will about Jake Delhomme and the way he gunslung with Tom Brady in a Super Bowl. But
anyway, Delhomme?
Delhomme. Yeah.
Delhomme.
Who the hell is this?
I think the funniest part in that analysis that you're hearing from the talking heads is they all picked the Giants and the Niners to beat the Eagles before saying now this road was too easy.
Because they're fucking idiots.
Well, I mean, but you get mad at me when I talk about them stealing our money, EJ. And
No. I get mad at you depending on specific personalities, not all specific. Well, Sims is an idiot too, so come on now.
Oh, here we go. Hey, mark that.
Wait. Phil or Chris or C, all of the above?
Oh, no. He's talking about Bill Simmons, but also.
But those two as well. That's a great
I'm
point.
not a Christmas fan. I actually didn't mind Phil Simmons' analysis with Jim Nantz. I think it was okay as a color guy.
Oh, yeah, no, but his analysis of this game was stupid. The Eagles were more physical than the 49ers.
Dumb take.
No.
Phil Sims and Boomer Esiason on that Sunday CBS panel, they just look like what are the two old guys from the Muppets?
Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah, they're just like Statler and Waldorf at this point, and they have it's like the game has lapped them 6 times, and they're just like, why is the field not the regular AstroTurf, and why is it's just they just look goddamn
running so much.
Like it just looks ridiculous.
No. One thing I'll say, Jim, Boomer, and I'm glad you reminded me today. We're going to probably do an episode on this, of course of the summer, but Boomer Esiason is fucking insufferable. This is.
Oh, he's horrible.
Ugh.
He's horrible.
Horrible human being.
I don't have that one on this board.
That's
on the Thursday board.
That's what fucking drop. That's all.
See, and that's the thing, though. The Bears never came like the football gods. And listen, Jim, with all due respect, with your 5 observations, straddling the fence again, I don't want to call it luck. No, bro, the Eagles had luck on their side, but luck was only one half of it.
And that was kind of more my point.
Right.
Like I'm not going to just call them a lucky team. Every team that gets to a championship and wins a championship has some degree of luck at some point along the way.
Hell yeah.
I mean, listen, if we're going to have that conversation about luck, then I'm going to need you to reopen why Tom Brady is the GOAT. Because when it comes to luck, this bro has a bit. Just throwing it out.
Careful how you talk about your new quarterback next year, Kyle.
Oh, this is
exactly. I hope it's on the docket because that's something we discussed now because of
Still hasn't checked the messenger apparently, you dip. Anyway,
which chat, motherfucker?
Oh,
which chat?
Oh, sorry, you're that famous, Mr. Speaker.
Figure it out, EJ. There's like 2 huddle up chats.
I'm in Kyle in like 4 different chats right now, dude. We got me, you, and Jim. We got me, G, and Kyle now. We got the
okay. Hold on. First of all, stop. If you're actually marking G Stelio with serious football analysis,
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying no. I'm just saying the chat. I'm saying chat in general.
I'm flailing now. No.
Split fingers.
Oh my god, I need the fucking loud noises drop from Anchorman.
Power rankings, Jim.
That would be perfect here, actually.
Do you need mine this week? You need my top 2?
Power rankings.
No.
Philly 1, KC. Philly 1, KC 2.
I've never seen a bigger eye roll from Matt than write it up. If my tires ever go out, I'm just going to get that clip of Matt's rolling eyes and drive the rest of the way home. I don't need shit. No, listen. Taking advantage of luck is half of it when you're a great team. And listen, for a minute there, until we knew for a fact that Brock Purdy was limited, 21-7 didn't still feel like game over that early in the game, right? Matt, you can see that.
Right.
So No. Now, granted, once we found out
Yeah.
he's going to throw a 5-yard pass, I mean,
That was a
Every-
problem.
I mean, every team can have. I mean, dude, that applies to every fucking team that wins. Dude, the 2007 New York Giants got lucky too. Like, stop. It's part of the fucking game. You're always 2 or 3 plays away from something different. Like, stop.
that's a little different because to say the Giants were lucky is to completely disrespect the greatness of that defensive front. I mean, if you were a Giants fan, you'd appreciate that. But
Relax.
and said, "No, I'm telling you to do that."
Is a disgusting act.
At any rate, speaking of disgusting acts, Matt, what's your ugly, sir?
I'm going to jump back into the officiating conversation that EJ started up just because I want to talk about something a little different, not necessarily the calls that were made, but I would like to see some uniformity in terms of what the officials do. And Kyle, this kind of goes to the game with the Eagles and the Niners. You know, we had the catch early on in the game for Devontae Smith that, you know, and we've seen expedited replay come in before in games. You know, what do we have like a firm, this is when they are allowed to chime in, this is when they are not? Because it's not like the Eagles absolutely dead sprinted to the ball and got it off that quick that you couldn't see another camera angle. And shame on Shanahan for not challenging. If you see Devontae Smith doing this and telling his team to get to the line, I think that's kind of like
It's usually a good indicator.
I'll also say later on in the game when it's clear that you see in a replay that a punted football is going one way and then it drastically changes direction. You have to have more than one camera angle in the entire NFL stadium that can show you a better look than a grainy video that looked like a fan was standing in the 400 section of the link and filming it. So we'd just like to see some uniformity in terms of the way these things are processed. You know, $1 billion industry should have the capabilities to show these angles pretty quickly to the officials, and they should have some design in terms of this is when expedited replay can be utilized. If it isn't, and I'm unaware, then I don't know, but that seemed like one of those things that if it was allowed to be used, it should have been used.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic take. The only comeback I really have for Shanahan is with the officials and the state of officiating, thus that it is. If I'm a coach, I am loath to risk a timeout to pray that they're going to help me out. That's my only comeback. But you're right. The opportunity was there. And listen, you say
I feel like it's worth a gamble in that instance. I get what you're saying, but that was a 4th and 5.
That's why I'm
right,
not doing
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. But it's a 4th and 5 call setting up 1st and goal. I think that even if you lose the timeout, that might be worth the risk. But again, it's not something that we can all sit back now and say, oh, I should have thrown that flag. But
hindsight's 20/20, my friend.
Right, absolutely. So it was more so in commentary on the expedited replay, because we have seen that used in NFL games in the playoffs, and what is the standard for that?
Yeah. And honestly, you know, I don't know all the rules behind it, but I feel like that's something that in those sort of situations should be utilized more.
The the Alliance of American Football, the league that took place before the pandemic that was run by Hines Ward and all that group, had the Orlando Apollos, the product that we all watched, certainly more than the XFL 2.0. By the way, shouts XFL 3.0, where I will be talking hopefully this week soon to Paxton Lynch, new signee quarterback of the Orlando Guardians. So that should be interesting. Hoping to get on that Zoom call there later this week. But they were on top of it with those calls. I don't necessarily like the $1 billion industry argument because the ball does funny things and sometimes it's just going to hit that spot. I do enough with camera and work and stuff like that, not to defend them, Matt, let me be clear, but that's going to happen sometimes where you just can't get the right angle. Mother Nature defies organization like that. Entropy is a thing. But as often as the Alliance of American Football got that right with the eye in the sky, I mean, it's funny. Eye in the sky. The breaker of rules is the very next line. They can find the breaker of rules with the eye in the sky, folks. Do it.
That, my friends, is irony.
Anyways, my shirts are smoother. Anyways, No, that's not bad. I'll say that and raise this too. My ugly this week for me, I don't like a world where play after the whistle matters. That's incredibly dangerous. It's the same sort of thing that made Kenny Pickett with the fake slide genius, that he had to be shut down and shot immediately. Never. That was. You all have seen Major League. Nice catch, Hayes. Don't ever fucking do it again.
Love that movie.
I'm quoting a movie that doesn't count. Anyway, so the fumble in the Niners-Eagles game. Listen, conspiracy theorists, it was a goddamn fumble. Just stop it. However, I don't enjoy the situation where the whistle's blown and the Eagles can pick up the fumble and then gain the ball back. Not just because they got the ball back, which obviously sucked for me, but we've seen too many times where they let the play run out. Just this season. Not a playoff game, but basically a play-in game for the Titans and the Jaguars, right? That crucial hit by Rayshawn Jenkins of Josh Dobbs for that thing that was eventually ruled a fumble. They let it play out. And it should have been let to play out here for one reason and one reason alone, to prevent the ugly of play after the whistle deciding what's going on. That it ended in a situation where, listen, the game doesn't change after that fumble, in my opinion, at all, because eventually Josh Johnson gets hurt anyway. Brock Purdy's out. Freaking Christian McCaffrey went 4 for 4 and had the best QB throwing percentage in the damn game. I mean, by the way, can we not talk too much trash on the Niners and that defense? By the way, I know they scored 31 points, the Eagles, but they're one bad call away from holding Jalen Hurts to under 100 passing yards, for goodness sake. That deserves some props. Anyways, I mean, and that's not a shot at Jalen Hurts. He's a good quarterback. I know EJ likes him. Anyways, so that's what we got to prevent. Let stuff like that play out. You do it to let you bail yourselves out, and the players have no excuse, because what's the axiom all football players get? Play till you hear the whistle. No, not play to win the game.
I was going to ask you that. Play to win the game. You play to win the game.
You would be that guy.
I would.
You play to win the game.
Anyways,
God bless you.
Let me look at these notes that EJ obviously didn't read. The next session has conference championship Sunday wrap up. I feel like we captured that well enough. I had hoped to have a trumpet herald for this. Oh, wait. Let me make sure I bring in Devin with his comment, because he did something I haven't seen before. A good, bad, and ugly all in one. It's bad and ugly being everybody in Pennsylvania.
Good,
My
Devin,
man.
We don't want you.
My man, Devin.
I don't want your hex put on the Eagles, Devin.
Oh,
Keep rooting for the Dolphins in that sad organization.
Wow.
Nah.
That
Not
is a
everybody
disgusting
PA.
act.
Steel fans ain't root for the Eagles. Trust me on that.
And don't worry. Eventually, he'll be happier when Tom
Take the
Brady
joke, EJ. Take the joke.
What is the joke?
Your top 10 picks.
Oh.
Anyways,
Besides that, we're top 2 now, buddy. Top 2.
it's called continuity, something you wouldn't know anything about. Anyways, wow.
By the way, I ran to our, I'm looking for this notes here. I ran to our chat, and Kyle saying "fuck you, EJ" when I jumped into the Matt Kyle battle, and then Matt goes "fuck off, EJ." And Matt goes "cry more, EJ." You fucking asshole!
You inserted yourself in a conversation.
No,
that
no,
you were
Oh no,
uninvited.
I did not do that. All I did was
Stop.
eat popcorn.
EJ,
What are you talking about?
EJ, you were trying to stir that pot, and you know it. Don't you make yourself a victim. You got regulated, son. All right?
All right,
Regulators
1A,
now-
all right, 1A, 1B. Okay, happy?
You don't even go here.
Exactly. Well played, Jim.
Thanks,
Jim
Bianca.
Jim coming strong with the soundboard. Although, by the way, the reason why I say it's all inclusive, Jim won't be that person either. I think he made that as good by default, right?
Yeah, that.
So, anyways. Oh, hey, look, there's Mikey Byrne. What's going on, buddy?
Michael.
So yeah.
As they showed.
Oh, late though.
Wow. Damn.
He He might have forgotten about the simulcast, and that's okay. Listen, he made it in. That's fine. At the end of the day, I am not going to give him 5 for fighting. Anyways, everyone see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
I wanted to try to do a trumpet herald for this, but gentlemen, I felt it very important to actually no, let's do this. Let's do the Kellen Moore firing first. And Jim mentioned this in his good about Kellen Moore being fired. And here's what I want to put in front of you guys, and maybe you can help guide me in your various directions. Kellen Moore being fired, and EJ, you made the point about the statistics and how that's a big deal. I don't think statistics can be empty, right? This is what we kept hearing about the Lions and their offense with John Matthew Stafford. And then he went to the Rams and won the Super Bowl. But for all the coaching changes that took place during that time, Matt Stafford putting a butt ton of yards up on offense with or without Calvin Johnson wasn't enough to save their jobs either. Why? Because other things were broken. Other things were wrong. I think the situation with Dallas is to get them over that hump. The only thing I can think of is if you're somebody who's if you're a franchise is at the top of Forbes every year and you're not in the Super Bowl discussion legitimately, which I'm sorry, I don't think they were this year. I know Cowboys fans get all in a tizzy when I say otherwise. And Jim's darkened soul of despair from dealing with this team keeps him from believing it, and I don't blame him. But, I see you went with black and white to represent the refs this week as well, Jim. Very good.
That's right.
But I think the main, to kind of answer EJ's question, I'm not here to say they're a bad defense or a bad offense. I am here to say that they aren't meeting the expectation of that roster. Kellen Moore's taken over, and Dak Prescott's throwing more interceptions. You think those are linked? I can't help but rule it out, even when the key words of more aggressive offense is a thing. Or maybe he's just a scapegoat, like the other coach who got involved in San Diego, Joe Lombardi, who was let go recently. Where am I going with this? Why does anyone give a bleep about the Chargers right now? That's a great question, EJ. It's about time you asked one. Another one. You asked the statistics question. This is a joke. Settle down.
Oh, good for you.
But the punchline is this. Now replacing Joe Lombardi in Los Angeles is Kellen Moore. In the words of Brad Pitt and Moneyball, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, what? You kept stailing around telling me the offense was the problem. Cool. So you bring in another guy that's known in his previous stop for not lifting expectations. Gentlemen, what am I missing here?
Was Dak's increased interceptions, and Jim, you would probably know this better than I. EJ, you could probably weigh in too. What percentage of that was taking away the safety net of Amari Cooper? Because that was his go-to for years, and now it felt like he was trying to force things to receivers because a lot of the interceptions that Dak had were because of deflections off of the hands of his receivers. Not
Brown.
Not all of them, obviously, but a good chunk are probably not intercepted if the receiver just catches the football, like Amari Cooper always seemed to do for him. That was always just kind of his, I'm in a pinch, I'm throwing it to my guy. I don't have my guy anymore. No offense to T.Y. Hilton, but like he didn't really have that safety net anymore. Gallup was injured for part of the season. So how much did that play into that as well?
I mean, yeah, you certainly can't deny that part of the Cowboys' lack of success this year was you didn't have a clear number 2 weapon. You didn't even necessarily have one at the tight end position. I think the Cowboys have struggled ultimately to replace Jason Witten. So yeah, undeniably the removal of Amari Cooper and I can somewhat understand the logic with the Cowboys because I think there was contract issues and he wanted more money and this and that, and I mean you kind of backed yourself into that corner with some bad contracts over the years and what you gave up to get Amari and all of those things. That's the horrible contract that won't die. But yeah, so there's certainly some of the interception issues that fall on those sort of situations. You put the ball in receivers' hands and they literally they can't bring them in. But then there's other ones that I don't, and maybe it's recency bias, but you had ones where Dak just underthrew receivers or overthrew receivers. And I understand that like those sort of things are going to happen, but they also seem to happen, especially in crucial moments, critical moments, and at the later part of the season, when you need your best players, you need your $45+ million quarterback, 50 next year against the cap, but who's counting? That's when you need your guys to be better, not to be overthrowing receivers and underthrowing receivers and clumsily taking sacks and making poor decisions. So I think it's just a comedy of errors, a myriad of factors there. But yeah, I think that the biggest thing is Kellen wasn't elevating the offense. And that like we've seen over the years, like with teams that you will have no-name guys and young guys that will emerge in critical times later in the season and all of those things. And I think you saw regression from a lot of people on the Cowboys roster and in skill positions. So to me, that was the alarming part.
So here's what's problematic too, and Matt brings up a great point with the tips turning in interceptions, and are those Dak's fault or not? Because when it comes to interceptions and touchdowns, that's the ratio. It's that and third down conversion percentage that makes or breaks your quarterback, right? So looking at Dakota Rain's, yeah, right. Like I'm gonna give him middle name status. You're out of your gourd.
I mean, technically, if you call him Dakota, you are giving him that.
No, I'm calling him by his middle name. That's not middle name.
Refer to him as Rain moving forward.
Rain Prescott.
Matt Stafford isn't middle name treatment, but that is his middle name. John Matthew Stafford is middle name treatment. Everybody get that? Great.
Fair.
So before Jim tries that ish again.
More on that later.
More on that later. No,
Shut up, bitch.
On my own show, on your own show, on our own
on our show.
That's right. That's the joke. Anyways, so and I'm not going to look at anything before 2018 because he's still getting right, kind of built up and had probably the best offensive line in the sport at the time. But I mean, in 2018 he had 22-8 as his ratio. Okay, cool. The other years he has 10 or more interceptions, including this year, right? It's 11, 10, and 15. But in 19, he's 30-11. I'm not counting COVID year because he only played 5 games.
I'll say, yeah, that was the injury season as well.
Right. And 37-10, which is an acceptable ratio, right?
You're throwing that much.
Yeah, I mean, three, right. That's almost 4 to 1 in terms of touchdowns to interceptions. I'll take that number every day.
Now we're down here to 23-15, okay, and 15. Keep in mind, Noah Brown's a factor. I mean, Jim, how many tip interceptions are you going to credit or debit or chalk to the receivers?
I mean, you probably also have to give some leeway for the surgically repaired thumb. Not a ton, but that probably had some impact on everything as well this season.
So, EJ, are you getting the answer to your question about these numbers and how they're lying to you?
And here's the thing too about like the number of tipped ball interceptions that happened. There's also, and I know I And it wasn't a joke that I said, like, going into that drive with 3 minutes left in the Niners game, when I said he's going to throw a pick six on the first throw, and he literally put it in the chest of a Niners linebacker who just couldn't complete the pass. There was maybe as many of those throughout this season that the interception didn't get caught. So I think the number would have came close to a balance if you take away the tip ball drill than you would bad throws that actually didn't end up going the other way.
So, but then herein comes the criticism of it. If you're looking at just the numbers, as Jerry Jones might, this is the kind of mistake I would accuse him of potentially. When you see Dakota Rain Prescott at age 29 have 23 touchdowns and 15 interceptions.
Not great, Bob.
And you're too dumb to account for the fact that Pollard is doing awesome and running the ball more has got you more success. But here you are making it rain with the pass.
See what you did there.
I thought you might. So I think that's where this starts to happen. Because how often on this show did we call out, hey, you know what? And as much as I hate Jim talking about the blueprint, more on that later. You can't. Well, no, I'm going to say it quickly. You can't blueprint the football gods hating you. I'm just throwing it out there. Anyways, no, but the where we ended up with us here on this panel who aren't getting paid the money that they're getting paid to point out, hey, run the ball more, stupid. Yeah. Maybe don't throw the ball 40 times with Dakota. Maybe that's a thing you shouldn't do. But throw it out there.
For what it's worth, I did see the Cowboys are looking at interviewing the Panthers offensive coordinator who was like, I mean, obviously when you had Christian McCaffrey and you had quarterbacks to the likes of Sam Darnold, you are going to lean on the run a bit more. But he was at least a run-minded offensive coordinator. So maybe that's something positive moving forward.
There you go. So hopefully this sheds some light. But gentlemen, I have to ask, more likely to get fired or part ways with their team? Oh, no, it is get fired from their team next year. Here's your pop quiz here, since this is a student of game production, just the same, as well as Huddle Up with the Simulcast. Brandon Staley or Mike McCarthy? EJ, I'll start with you.
Oh, that's easy. It's Mike McCarthy.
Really?
Well, I mean, the Spanos family is very cheap, so they can find a way to not to pay extra for a better coach. They'll find a way not to do that. But McCarthy, I think McCarthy is the most
more likely in that case than for Staley to get fired.
No, I think they'll hold on to Staley as long as they could until they can't anymore. I think McCarthy. I mean, look, you're coaching the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, this is the Dallas Cowboys, and I just think that with the pressure now, and again, I think what makes this more obvious is the moving parts here. Dan Quinn staying when he probably had offers right on the table for other jobs.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely was going to get an offer somewhere.
And especially now with Sean Payton being off the board now, Dan Quinn is the next guy waiting. Well, if McCarthy fucks up.
With that in mind, considering the precedent with the Cowboys, I know one way Jim won't be celebrating when that happens, and that's by clapping. Matt, more likely to get fired. Brandon Staley or Mike McCarthy?
He ain't lying. I also think it's McCarthy just because of what we had spoken on earlier with the whole Dan Quinn situation. You know, how much was there kind of that conversation of, look, if Mike doesn't get it done next year, this is kind of your team. Take over. If he does get it done, then I don't know, maybe he retires. But I think that Dan Quinn probably has a finger on the pulse enough in the organization that he can kind of see the writing on the wall too, and kind of be seen as the heir apparent, similar to what Freeman was at Notre Dame. It just happened a little quicker than I think we were anticipating. This one probably happened on the timeline that we're all anticipating next year.
Quick comment I'll throw in to back Jim. Mikey Byrne agreeing that the issue is Michael Gallup might want to stay on the bleeding field. That is a factor. So there's that. Jim, more likely to get the axe, your current guy or the Chargers' current guy in L.A.?
Sitting here today, I think I'll agree with the panel that it's McCarthy, because there's a lot of smoke there. I think there's going to be a lot more pressure on McCarthy because now he is going to be more involved in the play calling decisions, and I think the Cowboys, when I say expected, it's expected by the organization and the fan base, not necessarily. That's not necessarily steeped in reality. But the fan base and the organization expects a Super Bowl title every year. I don't think the Chargers do. So there's already more expectation there to begin with. Next year will be year 28 since your last one. As you've watched two of the other three teams in your division win one this century or more. So there's
more.
They have been to three as well. Each of them have gone to three. Yeah,
like there's so many more things that are compounding onto the Cowboys, plus the whole Dan Quinn thing. And like Dan Quinn this week, like a lot of people have come out and said over the years that Jerry Jones is very hard to work for. Dan Quinn, whether it's PR fluff or not, was very vocal about the fact that he loves working for Jerry Jones. So maybe that's just him patting himself for a future head coaching job. But also, I think, you have the Eagles, who are obviously, regardless of what happens next Sunday, they are going to be one of the favorites in the NFC. We saw a Giants team overachieve all year, so there's going to be a bit more expectation with them.
Gotta lock up Danny Dimes first.
That's right. Got to get that quarterback locked down. And with Washington, you saw a team that started to get hot in the back half of the season. If they can improve themselves at the quarterback position, and add some more weapons, like, they are going to be in the discussion so the division is getting tougher. I think the thing to watch in terms of the Chargers is, obviously the Chiefs are real good. No, like, the Chiefs aren't going anywhere here for a little while. We saw Sean Payton now has been hired by the Broncos. Russell Wilson, Broncos country, let's ride version 2. At least you're going to have wheels on the car this time, okay? So maybe it'll go better. Wait, hold on.
That was a good term. Wheels on the car.
The Denver Broncos.
So you got to think they're going to be better. And what's going to happen with the Raiders? There's a team that has weapons. We've heard rumors of Tom Brady. We've heard rumors of Aaron Rodgers. We know Derek Carr is not going to be there. There's potential there for them to be good. We all kind of bit the hook on the AFC West, right? So the Chargers could go very quickly from the number 2 team in that division to the number 4. If that happens in real time, then you're maybe starting to balance out the discussion between Staley and McCarthy. But sitting here today, the end of January, I'm going to say McCarthy.
Listen, I love the delusion as you bring it up for the Cowboys, but I'm going to bring up what Mikey Burns says because he sums it up pretty nice from where I see it too. Brandon Staley's the answer. I think the ownership with no deal and another season of Ben being one and done at best in the playoffs. Over and above dealing with Patrick LeVon Mahomes II twice a week, problematic. What they can assure and have assured, I can argue, for the past few years, is they don't have the worst quarterback in the division. Justin Herbert is now actually getting negative press because he, air quotes, in a team sport, by the way, because it's totally his fault, hasn't done anything, air quotes, right? Forget about all the injuries and stuff that he had to deal with and that team had to deal with to recover to even get to the damn playoffs, which I picked them to do, and they did. So there's that. And, talking about, Jerry's difficult to work for. Yeah, because Spanos is notorious for being such a likable cat. But I digress.
Cheap as fuck.
Sure. And I get where all of us would be more inclined to say potentially the Cowboys based on the press they get and the Forbes pressure and all that, and the delusion factor is certainly real. But now with Sean Payton coming in, being a big splash name that's there, right? You got Andy Reid, you got Sean Payton, and Josh McDaniels is probably going to get replaced by a big name sooner than later. I'm kind of shocked he hasn't already. That'll leave the Chargers in their own right in Los Angeles holding the bag in their own right. So, not that I think the Cowboys are a bad answer. Heck, if this were a line, do not bet this.
Yeah, this is stay away heat right here.
Yeah, this is pretty, and it's appropriate you mentioned heat because Mikey Byrne made some of the good points in the comment there, Boom. But yeah, I don't think this is cut and dry McCarthy. I'm going to go Staley on this because Joe Lombardi coming in, or rather being let go and replaced as a scapegoat is a message. We've seen coaching movement happen before, and there was still celebration on the sideline with the same coach after, if you catch my drift, for entirely too long.
Joe, buck yourself.
How many years did Jason Garrett stay alive in that damn locker room?
Too many.
But
Jason Garrett also played for the Cowboys. I think Jason Garrett's leash was longer because he had playing history and long tenured coaching history with it. I also think the Cowboys team window, at least from the quarterback position, is getting smaller because Dak has 2 years left on that deal as well.
By the way, and for all our talk, I'm going to comment on this here too. Mikey Burns says something about Spanos. No, that's not the right comment. He's still. I want to address. Yeah, McCarthy needs to turn Zeke into a backup. Not gonna happen. They're gonna ship him first, and
I mean, he kind of really is in some ways, right?
Well, he's got to take a big pay cut if he's going to stay as a backup.
There was rumors that he was willing to take a pay cut. Somebody in the Zeke camp said that those rumors are false. If those rumors are false, get that motherfucker off my team.
What's the cap hit for Zeke right now?
Too much. 15? I don't know the number offhand, but
15 or 16.
Spotrack.com.
Something like
do
that.
Your own goddamn homework, EJ. Jeez. Over there sitting back in your chair lounging. Yeah, I know.
My back has killed me. Yeah, you know my back's killed me, brother. I'm playing injured here today, buddy.
Playing hurt. At least say it right.
That's what happens when your kids dunk on you all day.
Jesus.
Well, there you go. There you fucking go.
Well,
his cap hit next year is $16 million. 14 the following, 17 the following, and 16 the one after that. He's not a free agent until 2027.
Oh my God! Really?
Holy hell!
I thought I saw cutting him the dead money is 11, but 16 is his cap number.
Right.
And I'd have to double check.
I heard something similar actually in another.
Man, I saw a clip the other day. He ran a 60-yard run in 6 seconds. Whoa, he couldn't run a 10-yard run in 6 seconds right now, it feels like. Damn it. Wow, I didn't realize it was that long.
Hey, worst case, put him as a fucking center. Like you saw him the last play of the game.
Stop it.
That's not a future there.
They're still fixing that.
I'm just saying, you squeeze that juice while you can. You know what I'm saying?
Stop it. Hey, listen.
Don't you, buddy?
Yeah, thank you. Don't insult the craft. By the way, my good friend Travis Holmes, special correspondent to the Student of the Game with the Jaguars, informs us post June 1st.
Good.
$4 million for
good.
Zeke, so
okay.
manageable.
Good.
Okay, Jim, you can breathe now.
I'm setting my calendar for June 1st. I'm throwing a party.
So, but yeah, wow, that was a lot more depth than I expected here. Wow, the show's running. Okay, let's do this. There's 2 people I'm going to do, and if you have anybody else to bring to the committee, I was going to go over quarterbacks, but screw it. We don't need to do that in this episode. I'm sure that'll make a great off-season episode of the Huddle Up podcast, and I'm sure it'll come up as well on the Student of the Game pod as well. So make sure you come in on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Check out the Huddle Up stream on the YouTube channel there for Huddle Up podcast. And, of course, that same YouTube stream starting at 8:45 with the Student of the Game pod as well. So there's your drops there too. But I bring before the committee, even though EJ wanted to gripe and say, that's my toy, mine, and all this on the podcast. I don't
think earlier.
I don't want to have bias come into play. So I have 2 names to submit to the committee. I don't have the trumpet herald call, but middle name status is something you earn based on accolades and performance.
For example, Ernest Jamiroquai. Just joking.
Shut your mouth.
Thank you.
So, which includes, the likes of Patrick LeVon Mahomes II, who's won a Super Bowl, for example.
Look on that side.
No.
On that side.
Don't tell the host how to run his show. You shut your mouth.
I'm asking.
And he said no.
So now I know how Max Kellerman and Tony Reali feel. This is awesome. No.
Right? Like, isn't that the best part about having the mute button? It's the greatest.
Even in the comments, kick him back out. But not everybody who is a member of the Middle Name Club has won a Super Bowl. For example, Lamar Demetrius Jackson. He does have an MVP, but has middle name status. I have two names, gentlemen, to put before you for application for middle name status. One of them has won a Super Bowl, one has not. Let's start with the one who did. And if your indication last week is anything else or the similar to that, it's going to be pretty easy. I put to the committee for middle name status, Travis Kelce. Matt, I'll start with you.
Oh, yeah.
Is your name Matt?
Jesus
Shut
Christ.
the fuck up, EJ.
God.
My God. Shut up, bitch. Now I'm just going to say no. No.
Way to go, EJ.
I blame you.
I would absolutely give middle name status to Travis Kelce. I think he's a future Hall of Famer, and I think that he is kind of that safety net for Patrick Mahomes that we've talked about for other quarterbacks needing. He's always kind of been that guy. So I would say that Patrick's success has kind of been dependent on having someone like that he can come back to when he knows he needs, a quick, I need my hands guy in there. That's Kelce.
Jim's inspired. Do you want to wait till last? You want to go now, Chief?
I mean, I have a fantasy football championship this year because of the man. Like, this belt is in my house because of Travis Kelce and Patrick LeVon Mahomes. So absolutely, Travis Kelce should have middle name status. Also probably because he's at least in this modern era, because I think especially when you're talking about the tight end position, maybe even more so than quarterback, this is a position that, saying best ever, you have to go era, because you go back to the Bavaros and Novaceks and those guys. Today's game is completely different than the game that those guys were playing. So yeah, I this era, he's the best to do it. He's an athletic freak, and it's
still probably not the best tight end the Chiefs ever had, but you're right on everything else.
Ooh, that's toughy.
Let's let the careers play out. I love with where you're going with Mr. Gonzalez there. I can definitely use a foundation defense, kind of like with Marino throwing 5,000 yards. He did all that before it was cool. I'm with you.
Right. But yeah,
play out.
I say 100%. It's got to be
EJ Christian.
So, yeah, I mean, he's already, in my opinion, in the top 5 tight ends all time right now. Did you see those playoff numbers he's had now, career wise, of touchdowns, all this stuff? They posted on CBS during the game. Yeah, he's like, I'm not ready to say he's better than Gronk and maybe a couple of the tight ends we consider all time greats, like you say Tony Gonzalez and whatever that means. But he's top 5 already easily. I mean, this is not even a conversation anymore. Because even with losing Tyreek Hill, the impact's still there, and that's what for me.
No, and he's stayed important and arguably became more important. But let's also give Patrick LeVon Mahomes credit, for throwing it to like fourth stringers too, when Juju Smith-Schuster and others are getting hurt. And I mean, Pacheco's a good player, but I didn't know he would produce like this. And does he do that with somebody other than Patrick LeVon Mahomes II? Anyways, doesn't matter what I have to say about it. Motion passes. Travis Michael Kelce here 2-4.
By the way, 33 years old already.
Huh?
33 years. He's 33 years old already.
I said heretofore. What are you talking?
No. I'm saying I'm adding to the conversation. I'm saying he's 33. I was shocked. I thought
you
he was a little younger than his age. He's 33 years old now.
His personality, makes him feel younger.
Oh, absolutely, without question.
Yeah, I can get with that. But anyways, no, Travis Michael Kelsey, so be it. And of course, leave it to Travis to bitch about something. Middle name status carries more weight when your middle name is dope. Listen, okay, take that up with his parents. I'm sorry, his middle name is Michael. My son's middle name is Michael. Suck it, Travis. Anyways,
Kelsey also dates a lot of black women too. So he's a lot.
Michael. First of all, that was great. Second, why are you bringing in the Bill Burr defense? We're not talking about the Patriots. What the hell? Anyways, good God. I'm glad you brought that up because
you're welcome.
I don't think any of the rest of us are allowed to. Anyways.
Really?
I also wasn't aware, so
there's that.
Because it doesn't
No, see, Jim's really white. Really, really white.
Oh, whiter than white.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. This isn't a political show. We stop that shit. Anyway,
Matt, we don't know yet, Matt.
Next on the docket. Oh, and due to the we'll move forward. The other name for consideration, and I danced with it last week, but I'm not sure.
You dance with it?
And I know Mikey Burns going to have an opinion. He already has a nickname. And listen, he could come out with his own sunglasses line right now. So glasses so cool that they make you go, Burr. Joey Burr. Yeah, Joe Burrow. Does he get middle name status? EJ Christian, let's start with you.
The fact that he's made the Bengals relevant this quickly should carry some value. I've been a football fan for over 30 years. The Bengals, when I started watching football, the Bengals were coming out of the Boomer Esiason era, Sam Weiss era, when they went to went to the Super Bowl in '88, and they were putrid. Other than a couple of sprinkles of decent years with Marvin Lewis here and there, they have been putrid for 30 some years.
A few sprinkles.
This guy,
the 4 straight where he took him to the damn playoffs.
Right. This dude comes to Cincinnati of all franchises. Okay, not only makes him relevant, they go to the Super Bowl. His first full season as a starter. They go to the fucking Super Bowl, and they're this year almost went as well too. In the same vein. Now, granted, he didn't win MVP. We get that, but a guy who has raised a culture. I mean, the fact we're using the word culture in Cincinnati. I mean, think about it. We've been football fans for 20 plus years, 30 plus years. The Bengals are relevant in a way where we expect them to be good for a long time. I've never in my life said that ever.
At least until some of these contracts come due.
But again,
we believe the window is open as long as he's playing there.
But the thing is, we're. I'm assuming. I mean, Burrow will continue to bring in new guys, and he'll find ways to make them great too. Also.
Yeah, that is the belief. Yes.
Right. So that to me carries a lot of weight. So while he has not won an MVP yet, like in the same way that Lamar and Demetrius Jackson has,
well done.
He's definitely got well-known status. Period.
So EJ is a yes. Matt, you.
I would say at this point it would be a no for me, just because of all of the weapons that he still has on that team. This isn't Joey Burr putting everyone on his shoulders and carrying them. He's had a fantastic receiving core these past 2 years. He's got a great running back. Obviously, he doesn't have a great offensive line, so I can understand why the argument could be made.
I mean, not for me against the Titans last year. Damn.
Right. So for me, I want to see a little bit more. I want to see him get over the hump before I'm ready to give him the middle name status, but it's not far off. Not far off at all.
Jim.
See, I think this is complicated, and it has nothing to do,
and rightly so,
with off the belt over your shoulder.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to put it back now. I mean, I'm still a champ. Call it
promo.
But no, the complication comes from the fact that, I mean, he's got the Joey Burr nickname, right? Like, if you expand that to the middle name, I think you run the risk of complicating the cool nickname. Unless, because if you don't know his middle name, it is Lee. So I think you got to go, if you're going to do this, you got to go Joe Lee Burr. Like you got to give it that same that same rhythm. Like, you know, so
I don't agree with that because that makes him sound like a lawyer. You know, in trouble with an accident, call Joe Lee Burr. No.
Or former presidential candidate Joe Lieberman. Yeah.
How about no?
You
Anyway,
idiot.
Just saying.
Dumbass.
Hey, I'm just saying, you brought it up.
So I will say no, not because he doesn't deserve it, but because it would ruin the much cooler nickname.
Does he deserve it though?
So the
I think he didn't have a great showing this week. Not all his fault. Give credit to the Chiefs. I'll say he deserves it.
Hell yeah.
But I will say don't do it.
Travis, so you're making it all aesthetic, which I have my own issues with. Travis makes it a point. I'm just saying Joe Lee Burrows sounds like an extra on Django.
He also has 5 playoff wins in 2 seasons. That's amazing.
Must work for Calvin Candy or something. This is my assistant, Joseph Lee Burrow.
Kyle, the guy has 5 playoff wins in a Cincinnati Bengals uniform in 2 years.
Yeah, that's part of getting to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, he has 5 playoff wins with a great roster. Like, I understand you can keep banging that it's the Bengals, but like, let's give credit where it's due. Like this is a great roster. Like Joey Burrow is Joey Burrow. I combined both two things. Joe Burrow, Joey Burr, is playing incredibly, and he's doing things that a player in his second full season as a starter maybe shouldn't be able to do fundamentally. But he also has a really good roster around him. Let's be fair.
Yeah, that's where we need to be the most careful, because there's another quarterback out there that got to the AFC Championship twice as a young quarterback as well. His name is Mark Sanchez. Okay? It's a trap. I'm not saying that Joey Burr won't continue to do well. And in earnest, if no pun intended, in all honesty, if he had beaten John Matthew Stafford last year, this would be a lot more difficult. If he had gotten to the Super Bowl this year, this would be a lot more difficult. This is how close it is. Okay? But with only 2 full years as a starter, we don't really know who he is yet. But Kyle, you went for Lamar Demetrius Jackson when he was only a couple years here. Yeah, that's because he's transcending the goddamn game and playing in a way it hasn't been played before. Joe Burrow isn't doing that. He's just playing it the way it's been played before, really goddamn good. And that's why he's Joey Burr so far. This is why young kids who don't know Joseph Clifford Montana miscue him as Joe Cool. That's a thing that's already happened, okay? Let's be clear about that. He's really damn close. I feel like if he gets one more year where he looks really good, I'm not even here to say that, like, they has to get back to the conference championship. Like, they get jobbed in a playoff game. You know, like they have an amazing offense that matches the prowess of the 49ers defense. And then he gets hurt because Zach Taylor decides to block freaking Assault Reddick with the tight end. Okay, I know they're in the same conference and that can't happen. USA. But
you dumbass.
How does that apply here? It was a God damn it, Jim. Anyways,
Jim touching buttons again.
no, EJ feels. But yeah, no, the answer is not yet. And yeah, I
have a question for EJ.
So
I was doing some research when you said Travis Kelce was easily in the top 5. Easily.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to give you 5 names. Mm-hmm. And these are just, there's probably other names that you could be adding to this. This is who I would have in top 5, and I'm not saying you're wrong. Kelce won't someday be in this top 5, but of these 5, who are you bumping out now in honor of Travis?
Okay.
Michael Kelce, is that correct?
Travis Michael Kelsey.
Shannon Sharp.
No.
Antonio
next.
Gates.
I'll take him out.
You're an idiot.
At this point,
You're an absolute.
Whoa. Go through
No.
this.
No.
Hold on.
What?
Go to this first. Before I
Okay.
do that, you need
All
5
right.
guys first. I'll
Tony Gonzalez.
go ahead.
Jason Witten. And Rob Gronkowski.
Take out Witten. That's easy for me. And Witten's really good for the record.
The reason.
No. I want to go through the entire list first. So no.
Yeah. The reason why I agree with take out Witten is because I feel like Kelsey's a more dynamic receiver than Witten is, and Witten can get the Witten can get the foundation argument as well.
Well, look, I mean, if a Cowboys fan is going to take Witten out to put in Kelsey,
Again,
then I accept
it. Witten was as consistent as can be. As a Giant fan, he's one of the guys that scared me playing them twice a year. That being said, the Kelsey effect now, and not just with Mahomes, even with to a lesser degree with Alex Smith too. Also, has got to be counted for something as well too.
But you would also put Kelsey above Gates at this point.
I mean, I also
we're not doing I'm not doing above and who's above. I'm saying top 5. I didn't put an actual number. I didn't say he's 3, 2, whatever. I'm saying he's top 5.
The question posed was who would you bump out for Kelsey, and you leapt on Gates. Are you retracting that statement?
Yeah, I am because I did the game
you
wrong.
realized it was stupid as hell. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that Witten should be in over Kelsey because Witten is my all-time favorite Cowboy, so there's going to be probably too much bias played into there. But let's also keep in mind Witten was in the NFL for 5 years before, actually 6 years before Kelsey took a snap in college. So the differences in the game are dramatic. Like guys like Witten had to walk so. Yeah, like guys like Witten had to walk so guys like Kelsey could fly.
It's the foundation argument.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of guys are going to throw that out there by the Kellen Winslows and the Mike Ditkas and all that. I understand that.
And that's Kellen Winslow Sr. for the record.
To me,
let's make that clear.
To me, I think in terms of peak, Gronkowski is probably the best in terms of peak. But what's going to hurt Gronk going forward, if we're doing a ranking system here, for example, is he wasn't great. I mean, the injuries hurt him.
Right.
Your pardon expression.
He was shorter for this world.
Right. Whereas Kelsey's been in the league, what now, 8 years? 9 years? At least?
Something like that.
Which is why going stat only on tight ends matter. Like, for example, I would never put Vernon Davis in this list because he was a garbage blocker. I hated his form. You have to be.
This was his 10th year.
There you go.
Kelsey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Antonio Gates had like what, 13 or 14? I forget.
At least,
Oh, something like that.
And what hurts Gates a little bit too also is on the back end is the injuries too, especially.
Right. But even injured, even at 75%, and again, the stats won't tell you this,
right.
You know, even at 75% in that day.
I mean, Gronk had 10 years in as well. Now, granted, Kelsey is multiple years ahead of him here. And Gronk had 2 seasons where he played less than 10 games as well.
Right.
So.
Again, that's what I was trying to say. I mean, there was one time Kyle and I were doing a Gronk for MVP case. Remember 2015 in the podcast?
2014, was it?
Yeah. We're doing the whole Gronk. It isn't Brady, it's Gronk. Remember that whole bit we were doing?
Because he can affect both parts of the game.
And he's a great blocker too. So, like, to me, in terms of peak, Gronk to me is the number one tight end I've ever seen.
By the way, side note, something that would hurt Kelsey, it's not like he's going to be blocking a lot in an Andy Reid system.
True.
Right. So Witten had 17 where he was blocking a lot as well.
Bingo. Which is why Shannon isn't forgotten. One of
Correct.
the teams he played for was Ray Lewis and Jamal Lewis, and Trent Dilfer won a goddamn Super Bowl.
Right.
You know that dude's checking down, okay?
Trent. What's his middle name? Never mind, doesn't matter.
Anyways, let's take EJ from himself.
Fuck that guy. He beat me in the Super Bowl, so fuck that guy.
It's let's go ahead and wrap this beast up. Holy crap, we've been going for a while, gentlemen. This is how much fun we've been having. We hope you're having fun too, but we're just gonna do this music here. Lock it up, guys. The very thing that is going to happen in sport and just in general next couple of weeks, if you have anything for me, whatever it is, lock it up. Tell me it's going to happen. Guarantee you have before the next Huddle Up episode. We'll ask the host man himself, Jim. What's the lock it up there?
So before the next huddle up, which would be next Tuesday, so there's no real like NFL action or anything going on. You know what? I will lock it up that the new Pro Bowl format, whatever the Pro Bowl games or whatever they're being called, are going to be a hell of a lot of fun and considered a success.
Lock it up.
I like that a lot. Thank you, Jim. Matt, we'll go to you.
I
What
was
is
actually
the week?
going to do something in the same vein and say this year's Pro Bowl will be the most viewed Pro Bowl that we've seen in the last 10 years.
10.
10.
You're going
Fucking
decade
10.
10.
Effing 10.
For the flag football alone.
Fair enough. EJ Christian.
I'm going to lock up the fact that much like in 1993, in 2003, in 2013, that I will not give one fuck about a Pro Bowl. Don't care.
Cool.
Thank you for being part of the problem.
Just saying.
Side note, you're a liar. I know you watch those skills.
I've
checks.
never.
Did.
Skill sounds with Marino back in the day when Marino was doing it. That's
Well, EJ, if you we know you can't use Google, so we're going to give you a little bit of education here. That's kind of what the Pro Bowl, some of the Pro Bowl events are going to be this year.
I don't care. NBA League Pass that night. Thank you.
Nobody gives a fuck.
And NHL.
Stop pretending like you care about the hockey.
Fuck off, Jim.
Knock it off. How are the Rangers doing?
Ugh.
Exactly. You don't even fucking know. Go ahead, Kyle.
Google.com.
Oh my God, I wasn't ready for that. My lock of the week is that no fewer than 3 times next week, Jim's going to make hockey jokes at EJ's expense.
Lock it up.
And that'll do it for this edition of the Simulcast. I'm stoked, gentlemen. What a lot of fun. Coming up 2 hours of action. I wasn't ready for that. That's what she said. Anyways, EJ Christian.
That's what she said.
Well, the world is the Rangers are third right now in the Metropolitan Division. Anyway.
Yeah, nobody fucking nobody cares.
Ahead of the Capitals, I know that.
Can you stop talking
That's
like
what I
you're on
see.
an episode of the
That's what I
Gilmore
see.
Girls? and
EJ, you don't care, so I don't care.
Go Heat, bitch. No, you're wrong.
That's right. Big win over Cleveland tonight, by the way, for the record. Good job. EJ Christian 7 on
Oh my
on
God!
Twitter.
Who
Wait, Matt,
the
were
hell
you at the game?
cares?
I was.
You let Orlando beat your ass like that? Really?
Why
Orlando?
Destroy. It was a 10-point game, and I don't get too pressed over games in January. Similarly, like if they start 0-3, it's not sky is falling.
But I
for
will
me.
say I'm going to be and one podcast
Hey,
coming.
hold on, listen. For those of us that live in Orlando and see a W at this point in the season, we're effing stoked. Our Califotes actually took the goddamn court. Woo!
I was going for this though because my N1 podcast. I haven't done it in 2 weeks. I'm doing it. We're recording it tonight.
Allegedly.
No, I am.
Allegedly.
I'm going to be giving Philadelphia a lot of love on the show today, on the next episode, because
Don't talk
they
about them at all.
you stop. You don't know what to do.
Please
okay? You
don't do
stop
that.
okay?
Please
You
don't
act-
do that. We're begging
what?
you not to do that.
You don't give a fuck anyway. Jim, what are you talking about?
I'm a huge Sixers fan, EJ. Everybody knows that.
Shut the
Jim,
fuck up.
Jim had the Sixers game on at his house when I went over on Saturday.
Oh, really? I'm impressed.
Yeah.
The trolling is real in this one. Just tell the world where you could be found.
Yeah, goodness sakes, EJ, stop dragging this out.
E-
That's I'll take things EJ's wife said to him for 1,000.
Oh!
That is a disgusting act.
I'll also take other things EJ's wife has said to him for 1,000.
They double. Anyway, EJ Christian 7 on Twitter, number 1. Number 2, Earn Speaker podcast called Across All Podcast Catchers. Matt, I'd like to have you on my show next 2 weeks before the Super Bowl starts.
Nope, not good.
Thank you. Put it out there. Why is that?
Not gonna jinx it. You're gonna try to force me into a prediction. It's not gonna happen.
I have no idea who
You're
that
going
is.
to pick Philly anyway.
I'm
What the fuck
putting
you
those
worried about?
vibes out there. You
So we'll
did
do it
to
after.
me
So we'll do it after the show after
after
Casey
the
wins.
Super Bowl. Sure.
Fine.
There you go.
We'll talk
You
Sixers.
host him? Good God.
Anyway, yeah. So Earn Speaker podcast catchers. Like I said, N1 on Huddle podcast feed. We're back this week after a 2-week layoff. Other than that,
Allegedly.
2-week layoff.
Well, I took 2 weeks off. Right? A lot going on.
4 episodes. He takes a 2 week layoff.
5 episodes. I took some time off. And if you love wrestling, of course, Take 3 Wrestling every Thursday, drop every Friday. Should be a good show this week. Can't wait for this week's show. Post Royal Rumble.
Are you back from your 2-week hiatus on that?
No, I've been on the show every week since mid-December.
Yeah, that's great. By the way, apologies to all Student of the Game listeners. Don't look for an episode on Wednesday for the first time in 35 weeks. But I was instead hosting this wonderful simulcast instead. Anyways, Matt, tell the world where you can be found.
Yeah, you can find me across all platforms at Teaching to the Choir. You can listen to me on the 3 Count Thursday podcast on Thursdays, the 3CT podcast on Tuesdays. I guess I'm doing my 1 annual episode of Earnestly Speaking in a couple weeks, so look forward to that. And then coming late February for the Huddle Up Network, it will be The Pitch, where I talk all things baseball and soccer.
Nice. Oh, by the way, with all the hockey talk, Mikey Byrne in the comments, coming strong. Thank you for that. Fight for Fighting podcast. Thanks to Travis Holmes, special contributor to the Student Game and A7BN Sports, for coming in and talking crap on my son's middle name. And of course, Devin jumping in. Don't worry about Devin. I mean, listen.
Love you, Devin.
He was pretty jovial considering that the Dolphins weren't playing. So with that in mind,
Vic Fangio though.
Vic Fangio, that
love
is
the hire.
I
love
will
the hire.
Jim, tell the world.
Big Jim Sports on Twitter. Discussions with a Nobody dropped a new discussion yesterday, Sunday night, first thing Monday. You can follow that show at DWAN Pod or Discussions with a Nobody on Facebook, all podcast catchers for that one. Of course, we know the Huddle Up podcast, but make sure you are following and subscribing to that feed, as well as the YouTube channel, which you possibly are on. I know this show is in other places as well, but get us there. Get the merchandise over at tpublic.com, and like Matt said, 3CT. Thursday nights, 8 o'clock, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, at 3 Count Thursday, and in the Tuesday podcast there. If you like to hear this soundbite, today's episode is for you, and I'll leave that as the little teaser. So make sure you check that out and check us out. We have a story over at tpublic.com as well. On all of those platforms, all of those places, there's Linktree in the social medias. You hit that, you're going to to everything you need to know.
By the way, Jim, real quick.
No.
You're not the host here.
Wait your turn a second here. Okay. Also worth note, too, with all the stuff that Jim said, not only will this be available, this simulcast will be available on the podcatchers, because I'm going to send Jim the email.
Oh, I'm already ahead of you. I got it recording the whole time.
Oh, snap. I ain't got to do nothing. Well, fine. I'll open that folder. You give me that recording. I'm sure it'll be better than whatever the hell comes out of this thing, because the audio's been awful coming out of StreamYard some weeks. Oh, my goodness. And especially with EJ yelling. All right, what do you have?
No, I'm saying congrats, Jim, to you, by the way. Congrats. Cord cutter. Good job.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
On the Discussion Nobody podcast, you revealed that. By the way, I was very proud of you.
Thank you.
I need to get to it. I haven't gotten to that one yet. I did see it come up. The various other events that I'm covering have gotten in the way. Let me tell you a little bit about that. I am Kyle Nash, the Student of the Game. You can find me on Twitter at the SoTG. Find me on Instagram as the same, the SoTG. Check out my writings with the Black and Gold Banneret. They just dropped an article based on the Big 12 dropping their football schedule. UCF's inaugural run in the Big 12. Check all that out. Everybody talking about, oh, my boss on this. My former boss was a West Virginia Mountaineer fan who kept trying to tell me, oh, West Virginia will leave the conference before that'll happen. What had happened was we'll see him in Orlando in October. So with all of that in mind, check that out. blackandgoldbanneret.com. Article by my good friend and panelist on the previous edition of the Student Game podcast, Drew Glukov, the local stat boy himself. So check that out. 100%. Of course, my work as well with the 3-point conversion, with whom I am in regular Zoom calls with the Orlando Guardians XFL 3.0 team as they're in camp in Arlington, talking regularly with head coach Terrell Buckley, former Packer Hall of Famer, among other coaches, and Paxton Lynch's recent acquisition there too with the Orlando Guardians. We're expecting him on a Zoom call sometime this week. So look on the socials for clips from that and the 3-point conversion YouTube channel for action you get therein. That's right, my work with the three-point conversion will also be heavily featured this time next week when I'm at the Super Bowl the Superb Owl in Arizona.
My man.
So that should be a fun time all the way around. Look very closely for all of that. Don't worry, the Student of the Game podcast still plans to go live, provided the schedule lines up, from a random hotel room at the Residence Inn in Phoenix. So, in any case, thank you all to the commenters I mentioned earlier. Thank you to EJ Christian for trying to keep it relatively under control and for playing hurt very well. Thank you to Matt Muehlheisen for not rubbing in the Eagles too much. Thank you for Jim for overcoming all his pain and allowing me the helm tonight on this simulcast. I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. But until next time, everyone, class dismiss.